In Norfolk, we have a reason to exist. We are the home to the world's largest naval base.
The military is the economic engine of our region. We get 42 cents out of every dollar from the federal government.
Between 40 and 50,000 people come to work here every day at Naval Station Norfolk.
The base is critical, and it's one of those high-value assets at high risk.
Norfolk was hard hit by the storm.
We've got about 8 inches of water.
Floodwaters have started to recede.
Roads are underwater.
And unfortunately, the water now wants access to the bases.
The base routinely floods at high tide. Flooding on Naval Station over 200 days a year, totally plausible and inevitable based on current trends in sea level rise.
People recognize that the climate is changing and the sea is rising.
These problems exist right now, and they are only going to get worse in the future.
Norfolk's sea level rise challenge is quite stark. We are the second most at-risk population center in North America to sea level rise.
Over the last 100 years, this is measured, not projected, we've seen 1.5 feet of sea level rise. About 8 inches of that is the ocean rising, and about 10 inches of that is the ground sinking in this region.
There are still a lot of climate change deniers, both in Virginia and the U.S. Congress. They take the attitude that if climate change is a hoax, there's nothing to adapt to.
I asked the chair, you know what this is? It's a snowball.
At high tide, you can wade through the hoax in Norfolk. You can wade through the hoax on Naval Station.
Problems we're seeing right now in the city of Norfolk include what we call blue skies flooding. When the tides are high, it's easier to navigate a couple of our streets by kayak than it is by car.
Yesterday, I was trapped a half mile from my house by a rain bomb. We had almost 2 inches of rain in 2 hours. As sea level goes up, it blocks the pipes on the stormwater system. So when you get a rain event, the rain doesn't drain.
The base can't exist on an island. They have to commute in and out of the base on a daily basis, so the road network is critical. The power grid is critical. The communications grid is critical. And all of these are shared resources with the city of Norfolk.
The base routinely floods at high tide. At the piers, the base has to turn off electrical power and shut down other utilities because it's immersed in seawater. The program to replace all the piers that started when I was CO had to be halted after 4 of 12 piers were replaced because there was no money. There are 8 piers that are extremely vulnerable to sea level rise. They need to be replaced.
A pier is a very expensive piece of infrastructure. To replace one of these piers is going to cost north of $100 million. So we're not going to go replace all of our piers with the latest and greatest because we can't afford that.
You have to have a comprehensive approach that takes care of roads, that takes care of parking areas, so that you don't have beautiful piers you can't get to.
Right now, preparedness looks like this neighborhood with individual houses that are getting flooded, being moved up, streets that are being flooded, being moved up. It's sort of a piecemeal approach. And then the next phase is for the whole region to get together and go, well, we've got this interlocked economy. We've got to act as a region across the entire Hampton Roads region in order to come up with a viable solution. We've had very good conversations with the people who run the Navy facilities, the Navy themselves. There has been a shift since the election, a greater hesitancy to engage in conversation.
Most of the threats I see are external, they're not internal. And obviously the federal government is a huge threat in decisions it makes in Washington.
The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord.
People are wanting solutions to these problems, but there just isn't enough money. And it's not just Norfolk. It's Charleston, it's Miami, it's New York, it's San Francisco. All of these coastal communities, the demand on the federal government is just going to increase.
We will be the coastal community of the future, even in this rising water environment that we're in, because we're going to learn to live with water. And we're going to learn to turn the nuisance component of water into an asset.
The good thing is that sea level rise is not going to hit us overnight. We have some time to look at it. We are doing renovations and new construction. We are looking at how we can make the installation as resilient as possible. I will tell you that Naval Station Norfolk is very important to national security. We're not going to let Naval Station Norfolk fail. We can't let it fail.